So now you know that top line is critical to your horse's health. And if you don't know that, go back and rewatch the video from last week linked here, because that will help to kind of help deepen your understanding of the top line and why it's so important. But now that you are all caught up and you know that the top line is important, how do we address top line issues and how do we build our horse's top line so that they can be healthier and support our weight better and have more longevity? That's what we're talking about today. And as always, I saved the best for last, but truly, I think that all of these exercises are actually really fun and enjoyable. So please make sure to watch all of them because I think you're going to have a great time this weekend. Hi, I'm Ruby, a whole horsemanship trainer, and it's my mission to help you find more magic moments with your horse by building your connection and also working on your resilience so that you can enjoy the slog and the hard days in between. This weekend's groundwork snack is all about building your horse's top line through 3 different exercises that you can do super easily, work them into any of your groundwork or riding sessions with your horse. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're on my email list, check your inbox because you have the printable version of this video there for you as an extra resource already. And if you're not on my email list, don't worry, you can still add link below and you will get access to this and all former resources there. Also, one last little note before we jump in. I am here today with my 11-week-old baby, so you will probably hear him cooing and babbling in the background, and I hope you find it as enduring and lovely as I do, but just to make a note that that's what you're hearing if you're hearing those little sounds. Okay, on to the video. Before we jump into the exercises today, I do want to just really emphasize and drive home that these exercises will not do anything for you or your horse if your horse is having some other underlying issue, either with their nutrition or if they're having saddle fit issue or back pain or even hock pain or stifle pain sometimes. And so if you are concerned about those things, please make sure that you have your horse examined by the proper professionals, i.e. a veterinarian, to make sure that they are not in any kind of pain or discomfort or that there aren't big gaps in their nutrition, so that we are not just trying to sort of what do they call that? Put lipstick on a pig, right? Like we want to make sure that we're not just trying to do these exercises, but your horse doesn't actually have the ability to build muscle there because they're lacking something more fundamental. So go do that, and then you can continue with these exercises. So the first exercise is really simple, and I really like to do it with my horses whenever I'm doing groundwork or just when we're hanging out in their stall. I try to just add these in kind of at random as often as I can. But all you're going to do is take your scratchy fingers and go under your horse's belly. You're going to feel for the middle. There's usually a line in the actual mid belly region. And you're just going to kind of tickle and scratch and push. And you might have to push really hard, so be ready for that. And all you're looking for is a tiny little lift in their back where you can see them kind of engage their core and lift up away from your fingers. This, with some horses, can take some time to learn, so be patient, but don't be afraid to start small, start tickly, and don't be afraid to push pretty hard if your horse doesn't react at first. Keep building the pressure until you see that back lift, and then immediately take the pressure away. What we're trying to do is train our horse so that eventually when you put your hands under there, they know what you're going to ask and they just lift their back and round for you. Again, this is a really small little shift, so it can also be helpful to have a friend watch and tell you when they see your horse lift as you're developing the ability, because when you're right there and you're pushing as hard as you can and your arms are starting to shake, it's hard to see that little bit of a lift. But that's all we're looking for, a slight lift in the belly. The other way we can do this one is from the back of our horse. Just be careful here that you don't get kicked, but you're going to take your 2 knuckles or your thumbs and you're going to drag down along the sides of your horse's spine and right down their hamstrings. This would be a lot more gentle because a lot of horses are super tight in their hamstrings. We don't want to hurt our horses, but all we're looking for is that tush to tuck under and their back to lift up. With some horses, you might have to get harder, and I've even seen people go in with hoof picks if their thumbs are not strong enough, but try soft first and see if you get the result, and then slowly build up the pressure until you see that booty tuck under and the belly lift up. And I recommend doing each of these several times once you work up to your horse knowing what you're asking for, maybe 10 times or so each day, and you'll start to see that top line developing and the belly lift. The next exercise is backing. Backing can be really helpful for developing your horse's top line, especially if done with their head low. So the key here is we're not just backing with our horse's head up and their back all hollow. We really want them to back where they're lifting their belly, they're rounding from underneath, and they're picking up their feet and intentionally moving backwards. You can start by just backing on a flat surface on the ground or mounted, again, really making sure that they've got their head low and that they're lifting their belly. And over time, you can work up to backing up a small hill or even backing over poles or over obstacles. I like to take my horses up. I have a little bridge at my barn and take them up the little bridge and then back them back down the other side. Any of these backing exercises where they have to be really intentional about where they're putting their feet and lifting their feet nice and high as they go backwards can be really, really helpful. And then the third and final exercise I want to offer you today is ground poles or cavaletti. And again, really important that they're doing this with their head nice and low. If you're a Western rider, kind of thinking more like Western pleasure type frame. If you're an English rider, thinking more dressage, a little bit of contact, belly lifted, because that is what's going to engage those top line muscles and actually cause them to work. And you're going to start off with just simple ground pole exercises where you're going straight over the pole. You can walk, trot, canter, but you're just going straight on perpendicular. And over time, you can work up to doing these poles at an angle or doing slightly raised poles, and just being really intentional. In the printout, there are several exercises you can do in different rankings by difficulty. So you can work up slowly to the harder ones. And there are also lots of options that you can do on the ground that also help to build your horse's top line. So again, adding in those poles, making sure that your horse's head is nice and low, their back is lifted, and check out the printed resource this week for lots of different pattern ideas. Now it's time for you to go to work. Go try these exercises, see how they go. Remember to start small, start slow. Your horse might be a little bit sore after this because they are building a muscle that is probably a little bit atrophied. So just start very small and minimal, work your way up to the harder stuff over several weeks, and make sure to come back and comment below so that we can all kind of help each other out and ask questions, track your progress. Okay, enjoy and make sure to hug your horse for me.